Allison. Other question?
I have a question, but I'm looking for a quantifiable answer.
Sure.
So my name is Irina. I own a real estate company. My office is in Joliet. I live in Marseilles for the last 7 years. For the last 4 years, about 2 out of 3 properties that I sold moved out of state. They moved to Florida, Tennessee, sometimes it's Kentucky, but sometimes it's up north. What can you do about taxes? Most of the people cannot afford it. I moved here almost 7 years ago. My taxes have come up by $4,000. Yes, I can afford it, but some people cannot. I have a woman who bought a house with me, I want to say about a couple of years ago. Less than 2 years, she couldn't afford the tax bill. The taxes have come up by $800. She had to sell. What can you do? And please, quantifiable answer. Is it 25% reduction, 50% reduction? What is it that you were able to achieve during your term?
I'm going to turn it over to our former state legislature and state senator Darren Bailey.
So that percentage is tough right off the bat.
Bye.
But I'm telling you, there's a lot we can do. When I got elected as a state representative and served my first term in 2019, which was also J.B. Pritzker's first time, the Illinois budget stood at $36 billion, okay? Now, I'm here because in 2017, the budget was $32 billion. My state representative in Southeast Illinois, the most conservative district in the state, supported the tax increases that bumped it up to $34 billion. So now it's $36 billion. Do you have any idea what the Illinois budget is at today? $56 billion. Now, can you tell me and point to where that money's going and where it's went? So in the name of mental health, a lot of stuff, money's just, every time there's a problem, J.B. Pritzker comes out with a solution, and that solution is money. We come out with a public statement and say we're throwing another $100 million at this problem and at that problem. And I can tell you during 2022, I've been to the areas and a lot of places in Cook County where a lot of this money's been thrown and there's nothing being done. So a pullback on that. Property taxes. The state of Illinois over the years has pulled back with what they give. So we set minimum wage salary. So what does that do? That drives up cost. Energy that we talked about is driving up cost. And that immediate cost is left to the property taxes. Because the state pulls back and say, well, we're not going to take this, we're going to pull back on some of what we give to the schools, some of what we give to the communities, we're going to do other things with it. And here we are with programs, park districts that are functioning, and if we want to keep them looking like they are, well then the community has to take care of that, and that is why our property taxes continue to increase.
Mr. Bailey, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yep.
But if you think about it, right, there are states like Tennessee, Florida, they have super low real estate taxes, but they also don't have an income tax.
Right.
How do they function? It means that their budgets are actually functioning differently.
Yep, so
Okay.
first of all, the tourism industry is extreme there. That brings that in. But then also enter in the pension system. That was the next pensions that we have here in Illinois. We are heavily indebted to pensions. So how do we deal with that? We start to trim state government. Government has grown too big. And some of that, I believe, will be immediate. It might not be felt as immediate. And that's why I can't tell you that in the first year we're going to pull it back by 20%, but you will see and feel a difference immediately because the governor has somewhat control of the purse string. The budget's developed. I served on the school board for 17 years, and over those years we've watched each year. We saw that so the same amount or for the cost of inflation, more was put into education. So we assumed in our little school district that we were going to be getting the same amount, at least as we did last year, maybe the extra that we had to add to the wages and such. But my entire 17 years, there was always money until we would wind up. Well, there was one year we got $1 million less than we were supposed to get. So I got checking in like, why is this? Because the government has to move money around. So therefore, that hurt us at the time 30 years ago. But we have the ability. We're going to count on it. We're going to have to go to work and go to work more quick as to where we can push money, because we have to, otherwise we're going to continue to lose population. In our area, it's the same. It's a lot cheaper to live in my part of the state than it is up here, but it's happening all over the place.
We have many people are struggling to pay taxes, and the ones that can, they're leaving the state.
Right.
You know,
And then
one
people
thing,
who cannot move, people who cannot leave, are people who are like, for instance, my brother-in-law, right? He's a retired ComEd foreman, okay? His whole family here, kids are here, grandkids here. Of course he's not gonna go anywhere, but he's paying 5 times the real estate taxes than when he bought the house over 30 years ago. What has improved so dramatically? Nothing has improved, right? There's no like extra parks in New Lenox, there's nothing else extra, but the taxes are 5 times the amount. So I just feel like
Here's one thing I would mention to you, and
Yes.
I've been talking to Senator Bailey about this with our white paper team, which creates policy. This is the thing that we're gonna be rolling out, so you're getting a sneak preview of it. And Darren's been keeping it under wraps, but you're gonna see a lot of it. One of the main things that you're talking about is the way that we formulate property taxes. 76% of where you live in Joliet, part of that goes to the school boards.
I live in
Right.
Versailles.
Well, the sales, but most of it is, property tax goes to school, to the schools, is really where most of it at. Like in Palatine, 74%. And the reason for that is the way that we fund schools and the way that other states fund schools is dramatically different. So that's why Palatine's got great education. That's why my parents moved from the city of Chicago to Palatine, because they want me to be able to read, because I couldn't learn how to read in the city of Chicago. So if we can pass legislation and introduce legislation from the governor's and lieutenant governor's office to refund the way that we do taxes, we can make it transparent, we can make it clear. We can lower those taxes because we can fund the schools correctly without overburdening each of the school districts and each of your property tax. The other thing that you have is in the counties that you're at, they're redistributing all your money. So half the money that you're paying for doesn't even stay in your community. One example of that's where I live. Cook Palatine Township, where I live, we pay $30 million in taxes to Cook County. We get $11 million in services. $19 million of ours is going to the south side of Chicago, west side of Chicago, and everywhere else outside of it. And that is because it's an unfair program. So redeveloping that through legislation and signing it by the governor's office will restructure that and give the relief to where everyone in the state can get it. Any more questions? Senator Bailey and I will be walking around. If you got any individual,